Wow, I feel right at home up here this evening. Good evening to our comrades right in front. Good evening to my fellow Georgians, Lower State, Salters, Erie Hill, Valley, Glebe Land, going all the way up. They can't hear us in Jericho, unfortunately. We'll get them another time. So this evening, I feel I only got a little window today because the real heavy rollers been up and more coming up. But it's important for somebody from about here, undisputedly I from about here, who is integral and very much a part of the Tony Moore campaign. Because Tony Moore, for me, as a Georgian, represents what I am looking for in a representative. I see Tony up and down these roads, indoors. People don't want to let her go because, like she was just said by Shanaka, she touches your heart and she wants you to be a part of their lives. And so from about here, I endorse in Tony Moore. Comrades, friends, and all those in the sound of my voice, because we're very conscious that whilst we are on St. George turf for by-election, we are speaking to the full length and breadth of Barbados and to Barbadians and those who love Barbados over and aways. And our shores in the 11th constituency, the 12th and 13th constituencies of New York, I know are tuned in tonight. And so, I want to start, since we're talking about from being about here and community, it is one thing to talk that you're born and bred, but it is not okay if you purport to be a member of this community to even as recently as this evening drive in the Bread supermarket yard, H car, tinted windows, rolled up, and you didn't even crack the window to say hello to some of the folks right here in this yard this evening. Now, I am not one for sharing political blows. That really ain't my style. But if you tell me at least one of the candidates in this by-election that you fit to bat for we, start with lowering the window. All of us in St. George knows we don't live that way. Up and down the length and breadth, you must be accessible, like Glen was. You have to be visible, like Glen was. You have to be visible, like how Tony is already. And so come 11th of November, what we can do? Vote Tony Moore for St. George North. Now, as we prepare, this process of political platforms, door-to-door canvassing are essential. Because always, ladies and gentlemen, we have to learn from the past to color our future whilst we exist in the present. And I have a friend who argues with me when I shouldn't talk about things in the past. I firmly disagree because I want to spend just a quick moment, lest we forget. Because, in life's hubbub, you might forget some little things that happened that caused us to be partially where we are or where we were before the mere motley-led, extremely well-led government began to take us and move us from that dark place. And so let me remind you of one or two little things. Because when we ask you to vote for us, for Tony Moore, when I say us, I mean the Barbados Labour Party, we have a duty to remind you of the breadth of what we are bringing, but to remind you of where you do not want to slip to, even in selecting a candidate in a by-election. Do not ever forget, and I want to do it as a contrast, what was and what we are doing and will continue to do in the interests of the Barbadians, all, including St. George generally and St. George North specifically. 3,000 people went home. Y'all remember that? In some instances, more than one in the same household. Do you all remember that? Contrast that. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what that could do to a family? Do you really know? And I know that there's some of you in this crowd and listening in who knows what it is like to be almost at the beggar's door. The former administration, whether they meant to do it that way or not, did it. And we took care of that, and you took care of that by your resounding vote for the Barbados Labour Party in 2018. But there's more than that. Taking away your job is one thing. Sandra just spoke about our credibility being shattered and what we have been doing to try and bring it back. I'm not even going to go there. I, at that time, was living in the diaspora. So I know what it is like to be in that other constituency and worrying about home. My old mother at 93 said, my pension gone on? 93, she is 94 this month. You remember that? Worse than that, and we have already fixed it, is the issue of kicking down the ladder. And I heard somebody, another platform from another party talk about kicking down a platform. The Dems kicked down the platform for the tertiary education. You remember that? That singularly, ladies and gentlemen, is the avenue that all of us have used to advance our lives by education. There is no way that anybody who was part and parcel of that, who was part and parcel of what I heard Cynthia talking about, the cussing down of women, should be allowed anywhere close to representation, and in particular, in this constituency, because that is not what we are used to. It's worse than that. Do you remember, if any of you took the time to check out the manifesto, and I am deliberately pausing here to remind us what was, before we even begin to talk about what we do, what we are doing. The Democratic Labour Party, on a platform of trust, asked Barbadians to trust them. Where we didn't, we kicked them out. But that trust, as loose as it has turned out to be, took at least one to the courts in Queens, New York, in the same building where I said I do to that lovely man that y'all will meet very soon. Not tonight, though.
Oh, Lord!
That is not how we should ever put our trust. And for that particular organization should be on the lines watching for some time longer to come. And as I ask that, during that time, do any of you remember anything at all that they did to help lift, enfranchise, make people feel better? Anybody remember anything? The resounding is no. So my friend who lives just up the road from here, that's all I have to say about what happened in the past. But it is to serve as a reminder not to be fooled, not to misplace trust. And in 2 minutes, I have to wrap up. Wow. And I will do so very quickly. So, coming from that precipice where we were, new things happened. Trust loans to many a young person in this community and others who were able to start businesses and begin to build out and start fresh a new family situation. We put back university tuition for free. That didn't come easy when you're at the end of a precipice. This team had to find the resources. Young men and young women in this constituency who had to stay off were able to go back to the university. Appointments to the civil service. Have you ever seen a Hollywood in Barbados? Well, the civil service was like that. That legislation has come to bear and will roll out very shortly. A household mitigation unit to deal with training and retraining and retooling, and the minister with responsibility for that retraining is here, and we'll talk perhaps about that under her ministerial portfolio. And then COVID. And I'm going to end on this point. COVID, we talk about it every day because it is going to be with us for a very long time. Don't mind naysayers who believe that it ain't true and so on and so forth. The truth is, we have to now learn how to live with that. And the initiative created by this administration, Cynthia mentioned it in passing, and I want to mention it as a specific, was targeted through the Adopt a Family program to give assistance to 1,500 most vulnerable families throughout the length and breadth of Barbados. That saw, after serious investigation and interviews, 15,000 interviews were conducted. Because you couldn't just come in and say, I want. It wasn't our friends and family, but it was the most vulnerable. And I have to share with you the $600 that they got every month for 3 months was in such demand that it was expanded to 6 months. The government put up approximately $10+ million for that. But you know what gladdens my heart? Barbadians, some of us in this very crowd, businesses in Barbados, and individuals put in over $3 million of their money to help buttress that adopt-a-family program. That didn't happen just by magic. The speed and the conviction of Mia Amor Motley and her team gave people the belief and trust that they can make that investment in another brother or sister. Comrades all, that is what community is about. So when people start dropping around the place, pretending to be of and from community, ask them, whoever they may be, when last did you do anything for anybody? Did you even try to gather a group of people and help the children at Workman's because they wasn't getting school meals during COVID? Did you even try to help any of the elderly, including here in Lower State, who without some assistance, not from government here, but from concerned community, do your part? So ladies and gentlemen, I say to you tonight, as the other 10 nights of this campaign, see beyond, and this is for those who are in St. George North specifically, when we come to your door, feel free to ask us, why Tony Moore? We have the answers. Why the Labour Party? The proof is on the table and growing. So ladies and gentlemen, Barbadians all and St. George North persons in particular, do not take this by-election lightly. Do not feel that the Labour Party got it wrapped up. I believe we got it wrapped up, but every single vote matters. So we encourage you to come out early, mark that X for Tony Moore and the Barbados Labour Party, and secure St. George North, God willing, for another 26 years like Glyne. Amen. Good night.